Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print 3D channel. Today is July 12th, and that means day 193 of the 3DP 365 project. And on today's episode, we printed out these very handy sanding sticks, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here for day 193 of the 3DP 365 project. As always, down in the description there's a facts section. There's also the MatterHackers affiliate link. If you're in the market for some new filament, just use that MatterHackers affiliate link and you really help out the channel. On today's episode, we printed out these very practical sanding sticks, and our prints turned out perfect. These were for prop building. These are so I can do some sanding and detail work. And these little prints turned out awesome. Recently, Joel posted a video, the 3D Printing Nerd, that he did with Bill from over at Punished Props, showing off some sanding sticks and different sanding helpers for doing finishing work. And the link that they provided was for ones that required hardware, actual metal screws. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted 3D printable, fully 3D printable stuff, because I'm really getting into these little screw buildable multi-part builds where you print everything, including the hardware. So with a little bit of searching, I found these that had 3D printed screws in them. So these were the ones I wanted to print because I didn't want to add any hardware to them. And the little screws, they turned out perfect. The threads work great. And these come in four parts, but they come in the full build plate. They come with the actual holder, the little clamp part, and then two screws. And you print them all out in one little build plate. They take about 45 minutes, and you can scale these up. These are really small, obviously. And then I printed one of the other versions, which is exactly the same. It comes in a little build plate with two screws, a little clamp piece, and of course the sandpaper holder. And I did the detail stick because I want to be able to get in and do some fine detail. And the reason why I printed these so small is because here is some detailing I'm going to be doing on my RoboCop gun, and I just recently added in a little bit of filler putty to join it together. And the reason why I made this so small is so I can get in here and do some detail sanding, because a lot of times when you use sandpaper, you use your fingers, and what happens is you create ripples because your hand isn't perfectly flat. So when I'm sanding on this, I'm seeing little ripples develop. And I didn't want to go and get a big sanding block, and of course I have those sanding sponges that work, but those don't really work so good. And I'm using some of this PRO Series flexible 3M sandpaper. This stuff is the best, and I'll put a link down in the description so you can find this on Amazon. But this is the best sandpaper I've ever used, and I've used all kinds of sandpaper. I've done automotive sandpaper, woodworking, plastic, metal, all kinds of different kinds of variable backing on this. But this has a flexible plastic. It's actually kind of flexible, and it's plastic, and it's a lot easier to work with because it doesn't get all gobbed up with the material. I mean, plastic is still going to gob up your sandpaper no matter what, so you should always clean between every few strokes of the sandpaper. But this sandpaper is awesome, and it's super flexible. It's the best sandpaper I've ever used. But I wanted to be able to have a perfectly flat surface, and I didn't want to go out and buy one of those giant sanding blocks because obviously when you're doing small detail work on your props, you really have no room for a giant sanding block. So I saw the video that Bill and Joel did, and they printed out a couple of them that had metal hardware, and like I said, I did a search and I found ones that are fully 3D printable, and these are awesome. And we use MatterHackers Midnight Blue PRO Series Filament for these. And we downloaded these from Thingiverse, and once we had them downloaded, we sent the little build plates over to Simplify 3D for slicing. In Simplify 3D, I used a multiple process system. Basically, I wanted to make sure my screw threads would turn out perfectly, so I printed those at a 0.16 millimeter layer height. But for my very first layer, I set up a multiple process that puts down just one layer of a 0.2 millimeter layer height. And then after that, it switched over to 0.16 millimeter layer height just to make sure that the little screw threads turned out. And the other reason why I did that is when you print at a really fine resolution, especially on the sanded acrylic, the layer is so thin you can almost see through it. So it's really hard to see if you're getting proper first layer adhesion. So by creating a multiple process for your print and making your first layer just a little bit thicker, instead of using the modifiers like 105% width or 105% thickness, just make that layer whatever thickness you want, and then in a secondary process for the rest of the model, and obviously you do that in the advanced settings. But our prints turned out awesome, and I really love these little sanding discs. And I really love the way they turned out too, because having a 3D printable little functional part that requires no hardware is really the essence of why 3D printing is so awesome, is being able to print a fully functional item with all the hardware in one print and just assemble it and have it work awesome. Well, that about wraps it up for day 193 of the 3DP 365 project. I hope you guys found this episode interesting and informative. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share those videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.